Hello again, fourth graders, and welcome to our 10th session of Unit 3, our Writer's Workshop for Bringing History to Life. Today we're going to focus on the intense mind work of note-taking. Sometimes students think, oh, note-taking, that's really easy to do, but there is a skill involved in taking good notes. How has Writing Workshop been for you? Some of you may be thinking, oh, good, we're at the easy part now. We're just copying down the facts and changing the big words into small ones. Well, note-taking is not the easy part of writing a research paper. When you take notes, you explain things to yourself so that you can explain them to someone else. Your brain should be exhausted from note-taking because you're thinking so hard using every mind muscle that you have. If taking notes feels like the easy part of this work, something is wrong. One of the hardest things in the world is to teach someone to think. When you read research to get ready to write, information comes in through your eyes and maybe your ears, and then it goes into your brain, where something magical happens. Telling you that your brain feels magical isn't going to teach you the intense kind of thinking that people do when taking notes, though. Here are some basic examples of how to take notes. Of course, the first thing is to organize the information. You're reading or taking in a lot of information at one time, and you need to organize it. Think about that new information until it makes sense to you. And then finally, connect new information with what you knew before. Here's an example by Josh Gregory called The Revolutionary War. We're going to be studying this over the next few slides. I'll read this for you. In 1774, Parliament began passing a series of laws that became known as the Intolerable Acts. These acts were designed to punish Massachusetts for destroying millions of dollars worth of property. Parliament then ordered Boston Harbor to be closed until the colonists paid for the tea they had destroyed. So you can ask yourself, what is the whole thing mainly about? What are they referencing? If we look around the pages and reading to help figure it out, we can recall that this comes a little after the Boston Tea Party. So the Intolerable Acts is what England did to get back at the Patriots for throwing the tea in the ocean. And of course that was the Boston Tea Party. Now note-taking doesn't mean read and then write down some facts. Note-taking means read and then try to explain the passage to myself. You'll find phrases where you don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes looking around the rest of the page will help figure out the hard parts. It's kind of like when you're reading new words. You read what's called the context, or put it in context. What are the sentences or words around the new word? And here we're doing the same idea or same thing for phrases that you might not understand at first. You need to pause, think, and figure out what those parts actually mean. Are you putting this together in your mind? You should be able to explain this to yourself, saying something like, this is mainly saying that, or for example, so here is a person's notes or ideas from what we've been reading. The British wanted to get back at the colonists, so they passed the Intolerable Acts. This act, 1. Closed the harbor, 2. Made a British guy governor, and 3. Made it illegal for colonists to hold town meetings or to elect their own town leaders. Notice how this person took what they read and put it into understandable notes. Well, let's read on to see if the British ordered more things as part of the punishment. Do you think you can explain this whole passage to yourself? I'll read the right-hand side of this slide. The Administration of Justice Act required that any British official charged with murder be tried for their crimes in England rather than in the colonies. The colonists saw this as a way to legalize any murders committed by British soldiers in the colonies. The acts also saw the return of an unpopular law that allowed British officials to house their troops in colonists' homes. So as a researcher, your job is to think about the new information that you're learning and connect it with what you already know. Pause, think, and figure out what the information really means. So, with that in mind, you are ready to take some new notes on your second topic. Yesterday, you started to plan your research by looking back at some previous notes from your first story that you wrote, maybe marking with post-it notes or circling or starring, perhaps highlighting those parts that you want to reuse. You maybe generated a table of contents for a general idea for this second topic, and if nothing else, at least wrote down some ideas about how you want to plan your research. Well, today is the note-taking day. So when you have your new topic in mind that you chose yesterday, go ahead today, jot some notes down, and remember to really organize, think carefully, and connect the new information with what you knew before. I'm going to let you get started. Please begin, fourth graders, on this new note-taking experience for your second topic. Good luck.